What's up, everyone? It has been a while since I have done a YouTube video. I apologize for that. And damn, a lot has happened since my last video. I got a M5. I got an E39 M5. If you follow me on Instagram, you would know. And today is a pretty cool day because we actually got an Avin Avant 4 for the M5. Yeah, and today we're gonna do an install video. It might be broken up over a couple of days, to be honest. Yeah, I'm really excited to take everyone through it. Let's get started. Let's start with an unboxing. So it comes in this really great Aven box, which is awesome. Has Aven's branding on it. Open it up and let's see here. What do we got? Okay, so we have screen protectors in here. This is user manual. Open this up and you have the frame. This is the frame that goes on top of the unit. There's a note in here to only install this after you've tested everything and make sure that everything works, because apparently it's pretty difficult to get this off. And then in here we have the unit itself. Interesting. It's pretty significantly bigger than the unit on the M3. Sorry, I'm doing this with one hand here. But pardon my weird slippers. It's kind of late at night and I have a hard time waiting to do things, so I get kind of excited when I get a new present like this. Damn, this thing looks great. I actually have the original nav system in the M5, so we'll be able to compare it and see how they look, but I can tell you right off the bat, like, it has a pretty clean look to it. I don't think that when this is in the car, I don't think a lot of people are going to notice the difference between this and the stock one. Okay, in here we have antennas, cables. Let's see what else we got. I ordered the Bluetooth so we can hook it up to Torque. That Torque app has saved me. It is fantastic. I highly recommend getting it. In the M3, I had a code come up with the throttle position sensor, and it put the car in limp home mode, and I was like 45 minutes away from the house, and I was able to go into the Torque app and just clear the codes. It was incredible, and without it, I probably would have had to get a tow truck. It really saved my ass, so I would really recommend that. And yeah, so we'll go through all this stuff and we'll get started. I think the big difference between this and the M3, the M5 and the M3, is that all of the hardware, if you will, or all of the like brains are in the trunk actually. And the head unit itself is just like, think of it like a computer monitor. It just kind of broadcasts or displays, displays the image. That's it. All the computers are run through wiring into the trunk. So this is going to be my first time doing it. I've read up on it, so we'll kind of do this together. I think that it's going to go really well, and if it's anything like the other unit, it's going to be amazing. The M5 has a great sound system too, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Avin unit brings out the sound quality that the speakers have when it was new. So let's get started. All right, so first thing we're going to want to do here is remove the trim. I think, not sure if we can remove it on both sides or just this side. So we're going to remove it on this side first, and then we're going to be running wires through the back. The previous owner installed a Bluetooth kit in this car, and there are wires and mics and stuff like running underneath, so hopefully that doesn't make this install too much of a problem. But we'll drop this whole thing, and then we'll remove all of that wiring and stuff so that we can run the wires for the Avin unit. So all you got to do, there are just little like pins in here, tabs, so just be really careful that you don't break the trim. So all you're gonna do is just pop this out. Be careful, go one by one. I need two hands to do this, so I probably won't be able to get it on camera. Okay, so now that the trim is off, I'm actually going to remove this trim. There's a screw right in here, and then there's a screw right here, and the same on the other side. There are a couple of small screws underneath. You unscrew all of those. I think there's 3 of them. Once you unscrew all of those, you can actually just wiggle the whole thing out. Okay, so there are 2 connectors on the back. The way you get this out is there's just like a little button right here, tab. You just push that tab down, and then this gray piece just folds right over, and it pulls the connector right out. So you can see now with the 2 devices next to each other how similar they look, but there are also some differences as well. Avin did a really good job of copying the screen, or copying the original unit, but made some improvements on it. And so the screen is actually a little bit bigger on the Avin Avant 4. And the buttons are slightly smaller, but the layout and the look and just the overall aesthetic of it is very similar to the way the stock unit looks. We are going to want to pull all of this off. This is like the knee bolster underneath the steering wheel. There are just some Phillips head screws. There's also a tab in the back that you have to twist and pull out, and then everything will drop out. And then from there, we're going to want to run wiring. I'm probably going to do it underneath the running board and feed it up through here and then into the unit. And then this is going to go back into the trunk where we're going to do all of the wiring. Now, if you haven't done so already, you will want to disconnect your negative battery terminal because all of the electronics, there's power running to it, and we just want to avoid any potential, electric shock or ruining the system. So what we'll want to do, there's actually, I'm sure you've probably done this before, but there's just there's 2 panels. There's one on either side. So you're just going to go to the one on the left. You're going to open it, and then you'll see we have the amplifier for the DSP, which is back here. You have your DVD for the GPS navigation system. This is where you upload new maps. And then this is the brains of the operation right here. So to get this out, it looks like it's held in. Again, this is the first time I'm doing it, so we're kind of discovering this together. But from looking at it, there is a little bolt right here on the top. And then there are 3 bolts. 1, 2, and then 3. You'll need a socket wrench with like a long extension, and this way we can kind of get in there and loosen those up. So once you remove this bracket, like I said, it's super easy. 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts, just loosen those, and then you don't even have to take you don't have to take the bolts off. You can just kind of wiggle this, and then you just turn it, and you push it, and you can see there's kind of like these bigger holes, so the whole bolt will just slide through here, and you pull the bracket right off. And once you do that, then this whole thing comes loose, and that gives you access to the plugs in the back, which is, I'm pretty sure, what we're going to be plugging in to the extension cable, which is going to then feed into the unit itself. Okay, so this crazy wire here, this
installed before I got the car, and this is for the this Bluetooth system. I'm gonna try and remove it, but it's tapped into these wires. So depending on how difficult that is, I may just leave it. We'll see. But you won't have this on your car, so don't worry about that. This is what we're trying to get to right here. It's just like the other tabs on the front of the in the back of the unit. It's just kind of like this tab that you have to pop up and then slide over, and then the whole thing will just unplug. Okay, so I have our extension cable right here. There are two sides. One side has multiple connectors, and the other one has one connector. This is the one that we're going to feed through the car and into the back where the new Avant 4 is going to be in the dashboard. And then over here, there's one connector that's going to connect right into the harness that we, or the plug that we disconnected from the main unit, the brains, if you will. We're going to want to remove where the navigation, the DVD is as well. This way we can get everything out really cleanly. There's another bolt right in here. Let's see, get the light on it. There's another one up there, and I realized that there's another one up here that we have to, oops, sorry, one right there. That will be a little bit tricky to get to. I think we might just have to use like an adjustable wrench or something. So the next thing we're going to want to do is pull the bottom seat out. It's super easy. All you got to do is just get your fingers under here and pull straight up. I already did it on the other side, and then wiggle it out, and then you'll be able to slide it out. And we're doing this so that we can run the wiring through. I think we'll probably run it through on the driver's side, and then bring it up underneath where the instrument cluster is, and then behind into the unit. All right, next up, we're gonna want to remove this trim. I already did it, but first you have to loosen that bolt. After you've loosened the bolt, then you can just kind of wiggle this out, and then you pop. There's a couple of there's really just one tab in there, one clip that goes in there, and then you'll want to pull the B-pillar trim out as well. And to do that, it's again just clips. Just go on each side, get your fingers under there. Once you pull this, just pull the rubber weather stripping off, then you can just pop it right off. So I already got one side. We'll go around and do the other. It looks like we'll have to pull the weather stripping off here too. So just kind of wiggle, and then it'll come off just like that. And then you can get your fingers underneath here and just pull straight out. And it looks like there might be one more. Oh, no, just comes right out like that. All right, and now we have access to the carpet where we're going to be running our wires. All right, so to get the side piece out here, all you got to do after there's a bolt that you unscrew, and then once you get that bolt, you just pull I have folding seats, so once I folded the seats down, I was able to get my fingers behind and pulled it out. If you don't have the folding seats, I believe there are a couple of bolts underneath the upper backrest, and then you should be able to just kind of pop it out from the bottom and pull it straight up. At least that's how it is on my E46, and I would assume it's the same way on the E39. But because I don't have it, unfortunately, I can't show you. From there, we're going to pull these clips out. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. I might just stop there and do those 4. And that should be able to give me some flex to feed the wires through. You can see the previous owner already wired. This is a built-in radar detector, which is pretty cool. And then this is that Bluetooth kit, which I'm going to be getting rid of. It looks like he fed it in through here. So we're going to want to pull the carpet back, but in order to do that, we have to pull these tabs off. So to do that, it's pretty simple. All you got to do, get a little plastic trim tool and feed it underneath, and then you pull this tab off, just like this little pin, and then from there, you can get behind it and get it out. So we're gonna do that for the other ones, and then that'll give us access to feed the wiring through the trunk. All right, so what I'm gonna do, I have the carpet here. I'm gonna pull it back. There's a tab over there that you wanna loosen if we haven't already. You pull this, and then we're gonna feed the wire back in here, and then we're gonna pull this rubber, or I don't know, it's like kind of a foam, like wire holder, if you will, and there's a pass through. So we're gonna pull this out, and then we're gonna feed the wire through, and then we'll be able to pop it back in. Now, in addition to feeding this wire through, we also want to feed our radio antenna through as well. So this is the blue connector. It connects right there. That originally plugged into the main brains of the nav system. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna throw this over there, and then I'm gonna come around, and we're just gonna feed it through just like that. Okay, and then you got to pull it all the way out. And then once we get this fed through, we'll be able to put the foam piece back, and then the rest is going to be pretty simple, just tucking it in along the side underneath the carpet. All right, so I would suggest zip tying right here all the way around, and then we're just going to tuck it underneath this carpet. So we'll pull this out just like that, and then we'll tuck everything underneath. And you want to do a nice clean job. So the other thing is, you don't want to stack these wires on top of each other, because it will probably make it difficult to put the seat cushion back. So I'm gonna stack it kind of alongside to keep it as flat as possible, and then I'm gonna zip tie it like that. So we fed the wires through, zip tied them up nice and clean, got them tucked underneath the carpet, and you just want to follow the carpet all the way down. From there, we're going to want to pull out this molding, and we're going to want to pull out the hood release. The way that you do that, I already did it, but the way you do it is there are a few clips. You can see here. Get your fingers underneath, pop them out. To get the best access, you're going to want to remove this trim as well as this trim. All you need to do is take a plastic trim removal tool, pop it underneath, bring it out. There are Phillips head screws in here, so you're going to want to take this Phillips head screw out, as well as this one right here, or there'll be one or two behind this, and then there's a little cover back here. Pop that off, unscrew that, then this whole thing will drop down, and then it will make it a lot easier to feed through, because there's some styrofoam and other stuff in there that's kind of held in place and jammed in there with this knee bolster. Once we remove that, then we'll have a lot easier access pulling all the wires through. For the dead pedal, you're going to want to remove that as well. There is a screw that goes right into where the hood release handle is. So you're going to unscrew that. It just pulls right off really easy. And then if you may have a screw here, or you could have like a plastic little tab with like a slit in it, just use a flathead screwdriver and turn it. From there, you can just kind of pop it out, and then it's just kind of clipped in. So you just wiggle it out, get it out of there, and then that gives you access to this carpet where you can tuck the wiring in and then bring it up underneath the dash and then through into where the nav unit sits. So now we have 3 main wires coming through the center. We have our radio antenna, we have our GPS antenna, and then we have our main connector that's going to go into the back of the unit. From here, we're going to go ahead and install our mic. And I think the best way of doing that is, I think I'm actually going to feed it through underneath the glove box. So we're going to just pop this through, grab it from the other side, make sure there's enough slack, and then we're going to feed it up and through the A-pillar and then across, and then we'll probably mount it up here somewhere. So the next thing that we're going to want to do is pull this undercover off right here. It's held in by those white plastic tabs, so all you have to do is just slide it out. You just pull it right out, and then you'll be able to access like a small area where you can put wires and tuck things that we're going to be wanting to hide, just to make sure that this install looks really clean. Ignore that speaker right there. I'm actually going to try and take that out. That's part of the Bluetooth system that the previous owner installed, and it wasn't like a Bluetooth music system. It was just for phone calls, and the Avant 4 supports that functionality, so no need to have that. So all we need to do here, let's see if I can just slide it out. There we go. And it pops right out. And then underneath here, you can see we have access to wires and an area where we'll be able to run and hide some of the wiring that we're going to be feeding in through the trunk, as well as any antennas that we're going to need to mount. Alright, so what I've done with the microphone is I've pulled it through the bottom, underneath the dash, underneath the glove box. I've zip tied it up there, and then I loosened the weather stripping here, molding, and then fed the wire up through this crack. I did the same thing here where I removed this screw, fed it up. Now, to remove the A-pillar cover, all you have to do is find the little plastic cover that says HPS on it. Use a plastic pry tool, pop that out. Underneath it is a T20 Torx screw. You unscrew that, and then just wiggle it out there. It clips underneath, and the whole thing will pop off. Watch the airbag. We don't want the wire to go over top of it, so I put it underneath behind the strap. And then what I'm going to do is just tuck it in along this edge, and then we're going to tuck it up using a plastic tool and feed it right over to where the rear view mirror is. I think we might post it on the window, on the windshield, or we might even be able to tuck it up underneath here. I'm just gonna kind of get it to that point and then figure out what to do from there. So what I was able to do is get the wire up behind the Alcantara, the headliner. I got it up all the way behind, and then I was able to bend this back just enough to get the mic through. What I did was I disconnected, it just snaps out from the clip, this part. So I just snapped it out, and then this isn't that big, and I was able to feed it up. You have to be careful because if you pull too hard, you might rip the headliner, but I was able to get it up through, and then I just used a pry tool to pop both the map lights and this little unit out. And then what I'm going to do is just take some double-sided tape, and I'm going to put it right up against the garage door opener mechanism like that. And this way, the mic is going to point perfectly through this slotted opening. And then it should be, hopefully the sound quality is good, and also you won't even be able to see it, so it'll be like built into the car. Next up, we have our DVR front forward facing camera. So we're going to do the same thing that we did with the microphone, except the camera is going to sit like right there, and then we're going to feed these wires through, down, and then up through here. So when you stretch this out, you'll see the yellow ends. This is what's going to go into the back of the unit, and then there are these black pieces right here, and those are going to connect to these black pieces, which are connected to the camera. So you can either drop the black pieces down, or you can pull the yellow pieces up. I'm gonna take the black connectors and push them down, and then feed them through the same way. So what I've done, I've taken the front DVR camera, and I wired it up through here, around, down, and then up and across. I'm gonna zip tie and clean this up, and then brought it out through here. Now, there are two connectors that connect to the DVR camera up. It's in the head unit, right, or headliner right now. One comes through and connects, well, they both connect to the back of this. Wait, hold on, I'm wrong. Sorry. One connects to the back of this wire, and then the other one is a USB which connects here. So I had to run both of these up and through, and then I connected it. I popped this off and connected it back there, and then I was able to fish it through. So I'm actually going to wait to mount this until everything is set and I got the unit running, and that way I can make sure it's perfectly positioned. Next thing we're going to want to mount is the backup camera. So what we're going to do is 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. They're like carpet screws. They're covered in carpet, and if you didn't know they were there, it might trick you. We're going to want to remove the like safety release. There is a little metal pin in there. So what you got to do is just bend this plastic back. There's no way I'm going to be able to do it with one hand, but you bend this plastic back, and then you can kind of fish this metal rod, this little metal thing out. Also disconnect the light, and then we'll move on to this. So what we're going to do with this is just, all you do is twist it and then pull it out. And since we took the screws out, you just lift it straight up, out, and the toolbox just comes out like that. Put that there, and then just keep gently popping all of the pins, and then it'll pop. What we're gonna do is feed the wire. We'll try and fish it through. Ultimately, it's got to come through here. It can be very difficult to fish the wire through, so we'll kind of see how difficult it is. We'll try, and then from there we'll want to fish it through, probably maybe through the back. I don't know. We'll figure out the best way, and then we'll get it up to the front of the car. Since the camera is a little centered to the right and the light is over here, I think, let's see. I think I'm gonna put it on this side. It just makes the most sense since the LED license plate lights are right there. Also, you'll probably want to go out and get LED license plate, LED light. Otherwise, it's going to be mismatched because it's a halogen light by, you know, the stock ones are halogen. There's a great company called USR Auto, and you can hit them up on Instagram or go to their website. It's uniquestyleracing.com, and they have these lights, and it doesn't throw an error or anything, so it's perfect if you're looking to do that. To get the light out, all you have to do is stick a flathead in here or use a plastic pry tool. Be careful if you're touching the paint. I think you could just do it from right, there's like a little groove in there, so you could just go in there and you just apply a lot of pressure and then it'll pop out. So I just unclipped the light. You're not going to need this connector anymore. So we're just going to take the backup camera and we're going to feed the wires through. Now before you do that, you're going to want to put the sticker that it comes with, this foam backing. You're going to want to put it on there first because you have to feed the entire wire through it. Once you've fed the wires through, they'll be sticking out here. You're also going to want to feed these through, but I'm going to wait on for a second to do that. What we're going to do here is connect this. So one side goes in here like that, okay? And the other side, we are going to have to hardwire this into the brake light, and that, or sorry, not the brake light, the reverse light, and that will allow the backup camera to activate when we put the car in reverse. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this small black and red wire, we're gonna push it up through here, and we're gonna try and fish it down and catch it at the bottom. I don't think it's gonna be easy, but that's what I'm gonna be trying to do. I'll cut to when I have it done. I've gotten the red and black cable wire through, but getting it through here is going to be nearly impossible. So I recommend taking some electrical tape and taping this up and then dropping it in there. This way, if you're pulling or tugging and it comes apart, it's not going to be a pain in the butt to get to it. We're also going to have to feed the long wire that we're running to the front. We're going to have to run that up through here as well. So what we want to do is we want to tap the black and red wires into the wires that were originally plugged into the light for the license plate. This is just for the LED, these two lights, and that will power the license plate lights when we turn the headlights on. So this wasn't an easy endeavor. Essentially, camera's wired in through here, comes in, it's plugged in twice. There's two connections up in here. And then there's a red wire that comes off, but we're gonna leave this alone. Let's see, I don't know, it's up there somewhere. We're gonna leave that alone. We fed it through. It took so long to do it. The little trick was I used a zip tie, and I like zip tied the wire, and then I fed the zip tie through, and that made it easier. Also, this hose connects all the way through and continues to go, making it virtually impossible to feed it through. So what I did was in the middle here, I actually cut the hose because it's sealed here and it's sealed down there. So I figured being separated in the middle wouldn't matter. And then that made it a lot easier. From there, fed the black wire, and then we have our red and black wire right here. The red wire you're gonna follow, so you'll see over here where the taillight assembly plugs in, there's a black and green wire. That black and green wire goes to the reverse light, and it goes all the way up here. So you can find it and then just take like an X-Acto knife and kind of break the coating off. And then you can take the red wire and tap it in there. I use some solder. And then you want to do the black one to the ground. Honestly, it doesn't really matter because any brown is ground. So I brought it right in here, which I actually think the ground that I tapped it into is actually the ground that goes to the taillight assembly. But it really doesn't matter. So now that I'm done, I'm going to take some electrical tape and get these all taped up, maybe zip tie it so it looks clean. And then we're gonna feed the black wire through the car and over to the front. Now, to feed this wire through the car, I'm gonna feed it through to the driver's side because I have all of that apart already, and I don't really want to take everything apart on the passenger side. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna feed it underneath this carpet right here. There are tabs just like everywhere else, and so you just loosen up those tabs and then you'll be able to feed the wire underneath and get it over to the other side. All right, so I removed this clip right here just for perspective. Move this clip right here, got the wire, fed it underneath the carpet, and it is now sticking out right there. So I'm gonna continue to feed it all the way across. From this point, you're going to route the wire through the car the same way that you routed all the other wires. You're just going to put it through the pass-through and then tuck it underneath along the side of the car and then pass it up through the dashboard so that you can connect it to the unit. From this point, all you have to do is connect the wires to the back of the unit. I'd recommend checking out the install guide that I have linked in the description below, where I go through how to connect everything up and give more details and step-by-step instructions on how to do this install. This was the first time that I had ever done this install, and especially on the E39. So there was a lot of trial and error, so I didn't get all of the video footage, but what you don't get in the video, you could definitely get in the install guide below. Also, be sure to follow me on Instagram. Thank you for tuning into this video. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment below or send me a DM on Instagram.